The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to Season 5 of Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Lovi. I'm here to guide you on a journey of personal growth and fulfillment. Join me as we delve into the challenges of both business and personal life, aiming to discover our true selves and connect more deeply with the world around us. On this podcast, we'll explore the topics that inspire and empower us to become the best version of ourselves. From book reviews to interviews with iconic individuals, we'll have insightful conversations that resonate with your journey. And a big thank you to our sponsors, the Boys and Girls Club of America, Greater Conejo Valley, and Lovi's Deli for supporting the show and helping us bring these valuable discussions to you. Please share, rate, and review the podcast. And thank you so much for listening. You can also leave your comments at Kimberly Lovi on social media. Thank you for your feedback and thank you for listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm your host, Kimberly Lovi, and if you are new, welcome. And if you are an OG, thank you for tuning back in. Today, we're going to talk about the gift of struggle. So why the hard times are the key to growth. Now, we often view hard times as something to avoid, but what if those are the exact things that we need for our true growth? And as you guys know, this podcast is all about leveling up and us reaching our highest and best selves. That's the mission of my life, is to help you, me, everyone around us truly get inspired to achieve their best version of themselves, because let's face it, the world definitely needs it. So the highlights that we're going to discuss today are personal growth, resilience, and how challenges shape our character. So, look, nobody here in this life can escape challenges. That's just the reality. Whether it's in your personal life, your professional life, or emotional realms of your life. And I feel like society often portrays hardship as something negative and something to be avoided, which is just absolutely not realistic. And it just leads us to have this false pretense of what to expect in life. Now, I want to kind of walk you guys through some stories of failure or hardship that ended up being stories of greatness. So I can draw from so many different examples, from Abraham Lincoln, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, and so on. But today I want to remind you of J.K. Rowling's story. And she, as you guys may well know, wrote this sweet little book called Harry Potter. By the way, if you have not been to Universal Studios, the result of her book has led to a massive empire, and you can walk around through Harry Potter world and spoil your kids rotten and entertain them while they get their invisibility cloaks and their wands and all kinds of fun stuff. And as I think about that, it's really striking to think through the paradox between the empire that she created and this magical world that has become so paramount to all of our lives in terms of just exploration and depth of imagination and transformation and transporting us to a totally different place. And it's all because of this woman that went through some really hard stuff. Now, when she was young, her mother, who she was very close with, passed away at age 45 from multiple sclerosis. And she packed up her bags, moved to Portugal, and fell in love with someone, had a miscarriage while she was living with her partner's family. Then she got pregnant again with her daughter, Jessica. After she got married, she found, unfortunately, that she was with somebody that was abusive. So she had to stormtroop back into that home and take her daughter back, all the while crafting and drafting the first 3 chapters of what we now know to be Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter, that book, the initial book, was actually rejected multiple times. Okay? And she basically said that she was as close to poverty as you could be when she was back in the UK. So she was certainly struggling, to say the least, having gone through the loss of her mother, having to deal with the loss of a miscarriage, as many of us know how devastating that can be, dealing with an abusive husband and living with him and having to relinquish control of her daughter, which I can't even imagine what that must have been like. Then being rejected over and over and over for your dream project. I mean, it's just truly unbelievable. And gosh, I wish I could sit down with her and have a chat and really hear about her struggles, not so much her successes, but really what that must have been like and how she was able to preserve her resilience. But just imagine if she quit. Imagine if she decided to settle and just take another apprenticeship, take another job. I mean, imagine what a loss that would be for the world. And I think just really thinking about the impact that one person's resilience made on this planet is just absolutely mind-blowing and remarkable. There's so many examples of people that are successful and they got there by failing. And I know in a couple episodes back, I talked about failing your way forward. And that's just something that I think is not talked about enough. So one thing you can do is find one of the most successful people you know and sit down with them and ask them, what was the hardest thing that you endured in your career? And I guarantee, or in your life, not even just in your career, like really hearing what it took for them to get to the place that you are kind of admiring them, I guarantee has so much more depth, and you can discover so many gems from that person. In fact, that's probably one of my favorite conversations to have with my successful friends, is really hearing about their coming up story. It's not so much about, oh, wow, you have all the fancy, material things. That's great, right? That's just a representation that they've added value to the market in some way, that they've, brought something meaningful to the world. And I think that's great external validation. But for today's purposes, and really just for your own mental health, I want you and I want to push you to explore kind of digging deeper with your loved ones or people you admire, and get really underneath the hood and try and understand like really what it took for them to get to where they are. Because I guarantee they have a great story and you haven't heard it. And so when we're facing difficulty, including building emotional and mental strength, I want to tell you, research shows that our brain adapts and grows stronger through stress and challenges. So it's super important to understand that your struggles, which every single one of us has, are single-handedly the most important experiences you're going to have in life, far and away above and beyond your successes. And for me, I'm in a time that I'm personally facing a challenge that is completely outside of my control. And there's something so beautiful about one of the most miserable hardships. And I have so many stories myself of hardships, of rejection in my career, in my personal life. And I mean, I could probably write a whole book just on all the hardships and the rejections and things. But what I really want to share with you is how these failures and hardships have opened themselves to unexpected opportunities. So I would just encourage you to, if you are in a moment of hardship like I am, breathe in and collect yourself and keep your composure and keep yourself busy with something that is productive while also handling a difficult, challenging time. And if you're in a moment of hardship, or you know someone that is in a moment of hardship, one, reach out to that person. But if it's you and you're going through something really tough, it can be a divorce, it could be a health issue, it could be a job loss, some version of a financial struggle, any issues that you might be experiencing with your children. The list really can go on and on of how hard life can be. but I really urge you to see the beauty in it. And I want you to rise to the occasion and to lean into the grief and lean into the fact that it's not easy. And I want you to feel comfortable crying when you need to, sharing your pain when you need to, or your frustration, and leaning on your friends. And there's beauty in opening yourself up in such a raw and real way. And honestly, that's part of the reason why I love this podcast, is because I get to reach people in such a real way and really connect with people and just have such deep conversations as if we're best friends and we're having a glass of wine sitting on my couch. And I feel like that's you and that's me and that's us and the community that we've built. And life can be really hard. So when life is hard, there's always opportunities for you to emerge greater and be better for it, even if you don't see it when you're in it. But if you are in it, what I will say is I want you to really lean into the challenge of it and make yourself proud and make your children proud. And the way I personally handle it is I open up to my loved ones when I need to, and I break down when I need to. I don't suppress it, because I believe suppressing our pain or our frustrations is hard and it's bad for us. It's bad for our health, and it manifests in ways that are unhealthy for us. So that's one thing, is feel free to express yourself to people that you trust. You don't have to put on a smile if you're not feeling like you have that energy. I can tell you this weekend we went to Temple and I was having what I now think was probably some version of an anxiety attack. I just had this like pit right in my stomach, kind of right in the gut, and I couldn't shake it. And I had already exercised that morning and I did the things that normally really help me, but I couldn't shake the feeling. And I just had to be quiet. And I told my family, like, I'm not up to chit chat with people. You know, I'm just not feeling right. I'm feeling off. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling sad, and I can't, control it. And I just wrote it out, and I was honest, and I didn't try and put on the Ritz. I just kind of stayed to myself. I kept to myself as best as I could and was honest with the people around me that could support me. Later, the feeling dissipated and I was able to regroup with my family and say, okay, I feel better now. I don't know why, but I do. That moment passed. But what I'm telling you is don't ignore the feeling. Okay, so when we talk about resilience in a hard time, part of this is the human experience that you need to lean into and rolling with the punches. Lean into the fact that there's pain or sadness or confusion or anxiety and say these words: I feel anxious right now, or I feel sad, or I might be grieving, or I'm just really uneasy right now. I'm unsettled. Sometimes we're unsettled. Sometimes we're between jobs, or we're between moves, or we're between ABC things. And that feeling of transition is incredibly uncomfortable and we're just not settled. You can say to your partner or to your friend, your best friend or whatever, I just feel unsettled. These are all really simple sentences, but I just feel like today we glorify the Instagram reel and all the fancy things, and that's just not real life. And I don't think we should feel ashamed when life is hard. I think we should find the beauty in it, and that's the entire purpose of today is how do we find the beauty? Where's the beauty? Where's the victory? All that kind of stuff, so that you can have that hope at the end. And if you are somebody that is doing these things where you're able to be poised and resilient to the best of your ability, talk to yourself out loud as a friend. Like, I literally will say to myself, you're doing great, sweetie, a la Kris Jenner, thank you. Or I'm so proud of you. Or you're handling yourself so beautifully, even though this is the most stressful, uncertain situation. So talk to yourself as if you're your own best friend. And here's the thing. My parents both have not had an easy life. but they have modeled to me what resilience looks like. And that has been so important in my life, to see how to face challenges not through their words, through their actions. When they would have the choice from being in devastating situations to crumble or to do something unhealthy, self-harm, hurt somebody else, unhealthy habits, things of that nature. My parents have never fallen victim to those behaviors, and I've watched them my whole life. And so now, as a 40-year-old woman, when I'm in a situation that they can't fix for me and we can't fix, I have that resilient model to look at. And I'm sharing that with you, one, because if you don't have a role model like that, I can be a role model, and I want to be there to inspire you. Or you can lean on other people in your life that have gone through really hard things, and you can tap into those people. And I also have been doing that, by the way. It's incredibly helpful. Sometimes things are so crazy, you just have to laugh. So, having a laugh, right? Those kinds of things. So there's so many different ways to cope, and there's not a right or wrong. But I do think that modeling resilience goes such a long way when you have little eyes looking at you. And it is so important that you recognize, if you are a parent, or you are an older sibling, or you are somebody that's a leader at work, that people look to you to see your reaction. Let's talk about why these struggles matter. These struggles matter because they give you a gift at the end. They give you clarity on things in your life that you otherwise would not know about. You would live your life differently if it weren't for your hardships. You would be very vapid, surface level, not as much depth, not as much humanity and connection to others that have experienced hardships. And it really helps you to reevaluate your priorities and discover what truly matters in life. So here's the thing. My best friend died when I was 15 years old, unexpectedly. Maybe one day I'll have her mom on the podcast and we can talk about it. It took me about 25 years to be able to remember so many memories that I'd blocked out because I was so traumatized. And I went through a good 5-year period that I was completely off the rails, lost, and just in a bad way. And it just was because I didn't have the tools to cope. And it honestly crushed me. It crushed me. It crushed life as I knew it, as I understood it. But it pushed me. It pushed me in my spiritual journey to say what else matters in life beyond what we see. What is the meaning and the purpose? It forced me to really get clear on my spirituality and have just a whole different dimension. Like I always call it the fourth dimension, and that's for me in my context. It really added like the deep, deep, deep pain that I experienced, and it still hurts, by the way. It changed my whole life, and I'm so grateful for that because it made me so much more relatable. It made me really reprioritize things in my life, and it helped me get so clear on what's truly important. It helped me cut away distractions, and it helped me look at what was only essential, and really helped me to push myself to find my true purpose. And honestly, I'm so grateful that my best friend died because she left me with a life full of so much more meaning, so much more fragility, understanding the fragility of life at such a young age. Like I said, we were 15. And to really understand death at that young age, and trauma, and being grateful for people and not taking them for granted and treating them the way that they're meant to be treated, and telling people you love them or telling people how important they are to you. If you're my friend, you know I'm probably building you up constantly because I probably love the living heck out of you. And I tell you that all the time. Like my friends And my family means so much to me because I really know how special their presence is in my life. And I tell them, and it's not awkward, or if somebody's just breathtakingly beautiful, or I'm so proud of somebody, especially after watching their struggle. Like I have friends that I've watched their struggle and then they finally come out on the other end victorious. Like I don't get jealous. I get so happy because I feel so deeply connected spiritually to them. Like I see them as me and me as them. I feel like when they win, I truly win. And I feel like I love them so hard and I'm in their story with them so deeply that I'm rooting for them. And it's, and we've been through the ups and downs together, and I've seen their bad boyfriends and I've seen their ugly jobs and their bad bosses and all the things, I've seen their family struggles. I've seen their health struggles. And when they come out on the other end, it's like I'm winning too with them. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I think I can find true joy and other people's success without the jealousy, is because I know that it's hard, and I know it doesn't come easy, and I know that they could always choose the hard, dark path, that I've seen before, and it's not pretty, and I'm so proud. So another beautiful part of these struggles is really looking at the people around you and just being so deeply connected to the point where you're their biggest champion, you're their biggest, cheer squad, and have such gratitude for these people in your life that show up for you when you're having a hard time. And that pushes you, and you need to pay that forward. So when somebody else is going through something bad, like show up for them, give them some soup, give them flowers, check in on them, and be humble and be grateful for your friendships and your family. And I'm telling you, the struggle really does help you realize, what truly matters. And there's so much beauty in that. And here's the other thing. I think instead of having this in your mind of why is this happening to me, think of it as, what is this teaching me? What is this giving me? What is this challenge for me? How can I cultivate gratitude in this moment for something that is happening that is so far out of my control? And really peel back those hidden benefits. And what is this building in your character? What are you showing the world you're made out of? It's making you more resilient for the next challenge. It's showing the people around you how to be strong. You're inspiring to people. And there's so many hidden benefits. And this is all stuff that prepares you for future success. For example, once you have gone through something really, really hard, you are so much better prepared for whatever that next endeavor is. If you're going to build a business, if you are trying something new and different, when you fail or it gets hard, you learn how to rebound so much faster, and it's like a muscle. I'm going to share a little anecdote that my father taught my sister and I from a very young age, and it's something I have applied to my life, my whole life, and it's a metaphor for life. And he basically, when we're 5, 6 years old, he takes us hiking up a mountain nearby, and he says, girls, keep climbing, and we're getting tired, and we're climbing, and we're tired, and we're little, and I trip and I fall. And I look at my dad and I start crying because I scrape my knee, and I start crying, and he looks at me and I look at him like, save me. And he goes, it's okay, honey. Pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and keep on climbing till you get to the top. And that has been one of my North Star, most important mantras in my life. When it gets hard, pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and keep on climbing till you get to the top. This is the level of resilience you must have in life to have a fulfilling life, to have a life full of meaning, to model resilience. It doesn't mean it's easy. It just means that you are building up your confidence, you're building your strength, you're making your mind strong, and you're proving to yourself what you're truly made of. And can I tell you something that no one else will tell you? That is the exact very reason why you will build unshakable confidence. All of my hard experiences in my life that I have overcome, or I have sustained, I have survived, and I have prevailed, have led me to a place where I have unbreakable confidence. So in the face of somebody, whether it's a boss, it could be a spouse, it could be a family member, a toxic person, in the face of somebody that is unhealthy in your life, you can always depend on the fact that you have you, which means you can walk out the door, you can leave that toxic job, you can leave a toxic marriage, you can leave toxic friendships without apology, without explanation to anybody. And you can walk out without a plan, an immediate plan in your back pocket. And I have done it. And you can walk and never look back because your confidence is your freedom. And it's something nobody can ever steal from you. When you have it, it is unbreakable, it is unwavering. And this is the type of resilience I'm talking about. And let me tell you something, when you build that muscle, you will take life by the balls with two hands, and you will go after anything you want without being embarrassed, without having an ego, without apologizing, without caring who's looking. And let me tell you something, you will come out proud. I can't tell you how many times I have come out on top from very challenging situations. Even starting this podcast, I had no idea what I was doing. I was terrified. I was shaking life like a leaf. I did not have any skills in this realm. I had never been in front of a camera or a mic ever. Did not know any of the technical stuff. I almost quit 27 million times. And when I finally figured it out, it was embarrassing. It was like I felt like I was standing naked on a stage. I did not know what I was doing, and it was hard. But you know what? I showed up and I did it anyway. And I did it over and over and over and over again. And now we have a top 5% podcast globally. By the way, I'd like to continue to climb that number if you could kindly share. But my point is now that's my whole business. It's my passion. And it was so hard. It was so hard when I started. I have so many stories of hardships, and I'm sharing this with you because I want you to seek guidance from mentors, from coaches, and I want you to be able to move forward and apply these lessons to your life. And listen to me, success is not linear. Growth comes from setbacks. And I'm encouraging you to see every single obstacle in your path, because I guarantee you have obstacles in your way of something you're trying to do right now, like we all do. And I want you to see every single obstacle as an opportunity to grow. Do not be afraid of this uncomfortable, difficult feeling that you might have when you are trying to navigate rough seas. So, some tactical, actionable steps that I have been employing that help me through tough times is one of my most favorite ones that I do all day, every day is this. I take a deep breath, and I quiet myself and I quiet my body and I just settle. And I will say to myself, settle. Now, look, I'm not big into yoga or meditation or any of that formal stuff, but I actually think it is probably a form of meditation. But I settle myself. I regroup. It's almost like I put myself on an adult timeout. Sometimes I've got 3 kids screaming at me, you guys. I got an 8, 7, and 2-year-old. There's a lot of noise, It's hard to settle. But sometimes I'll go in my closet for a minute or 30 seconds or 20 seconds, and I will just and I listen to silence for a minute, and I tell myself, you are okay. You're okay. Just settle. And I just like regroup myself. So that's one thing I do. And look, I know there's breathing treatments out there. There's all kinds of prescriptive things you can do these advanced tactics. I'm just telling you what I do. It's not something formal. It's just what works. Another thing I do is I really maintain healthy routines. So specifically, I do 3 things. Number 1, sleep. I go to sleep early. I really go to sleep early, and I get up early. Super important. Number 2, I exercise. When you have that stuck, anxious energy, move your body. I know you're saying, ugh, I hate it when people tell me this. I know. Then find something fun. For me, it's tennis. You can play pickleball. You can go on a leisurely walk and listen to my next podcast. I'm here for you. Binge listen. Nothing bad about it. 20 minutes. All you need is 20 minutes. Move your body. I'm telling you, you will find clarity when you move your body. The third thing I do is I hydrate. I keep my bottle of water right here, and I put a lot of ice in my hydro flask, not an ad, and I drink a whole lot of ice cold water. I'm telling you, sleeping, moving your body, and drinking ice cold water, baby. Magic formula. Now, the other thing I will say is make sure that you are surrounding yourself with positive influences. Positive influences. Listen to positive podcasts. Hang around with positive people. Don't watch the scary news, or as I call it, the bad news. Don't start delving into other people's problems when you are just in a self-maintenance period. Focus on positivity. Focus on good energy. Stay away from the toxic people. Really self-preserve in these moments. And practice self-compassion. Be easy on yourself. Tell yourself that you're doing a great job and that you're proud of yourself and that this is hard and you are doing an amazing job. And say, I'm proud of you. And just come up with a couple positive mantras that you can say. Now, here's our final thought. Hard times do not define us. Rather, they reveal exactly who we are and help us become who we are meant to be. And I know that. I know that that is so true. It's not fabricated. It's the absolute truth. And I am today who I am because of all of the hard stuff I've been through. And I've been through my share, as I've mentioned. Okay? So I invite you to reflect on your own challenges and share your stories with me on social media, or you can email me or DM me. Let me know if this helped you in any way, shape, or form. Or again, send this along to someone that you know will benefit. Share it with them. They might just need that extra dose of positivity. You really don't know what other people are going through. So thank you so much for listening. I'm super excited that we were able to have this deep conversation. I also really enjoyed our conversation last week about personal branding, and I got great feedback. I also spoke with so many of my clients, and it was so cool because they're like, oh, so I can just be exactly where I am and live my normal life while I'm posting about my podcast on social media. I'm like, absolutely. It's because you're building your podcast around being authentic. And again, that's such my vibe. Like, I love it. And I thank you guys for listening. If you are new, follow me at Kimberly Lovi on Instagram and TikTok. I am now on TikTok. I'm getting that ramped up. I'm also on YouTube. So this will be on YouTube for you guys to watch if you'd rather watch, maybe in bed with a glass of wine or sparkling water if you don't drink, and just get cozy, and if there's any topics in particular you would like to hear, send me a note about it. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. All right, that is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.